Whoa, did I fall asleep during that game? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Newcastle United Digest. No, I was not asleep. Yes, I promise you, I stayed awake. My name is Adam Snyder, and I hope you were able to wake up after Newcastle's nap inducing win against AFC Wimbledon this afternoon. I stayed awake, so in case you didn't, I can give you some highlights of what happened and sort through all the stuff that doesn't need to really be discussed. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button below to check out more videos from us and hit the bell icon to be alerted for future videos when they drop. And in this episode, I will be talking about some key moments from both the first and second half, some of the things I noticed that we did well, some things we didn't really do well, ratings by position. I'll give you my man of the match and I'll also talk about some potential injury casualties that we witnessed during this match. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing that I noticed about the first half, despite it being boring as hell, was that we dominated possession the entire time. I think the stat after the end of the first half was we had like either 84 or 87% possession during the first half, and it showed. Wimbledon barely had the ball, and when they did, they quickly coughed it up, and we were right back in their offensive half again. This meant that the defense really didn't have a whole lot to do. But when they were called upon, they were alert and ready to go and sharp and ready to get the ball right back into the offensive third to keep the attack going. One thing that AFC Wimbledon does have as a strong weapon is a very talented long throw as a set piece. And we did a good job defending it in the first half. There weren't too many opportunities where they had to launch a ball into the penalty area, but when we did, we were able to head it away and win the second ball and continue with possession and go right back up the field again. One thing that was really nice to see was Miggy Almiron and his movement off the ball. Yes, he did score a goal, and yes, it was offside, but it was good to see that he was making the run. His timing was off because I think he just doesn't have the game time to be in sync with defenders like he normally does. But it was good that he was able to make the effort, and the finish was not bad either. One thing that I also noticed is that his combo play with Tino Livramento and Sean Longstaff on that side, the combinations that they had, especially a lot of the give and goes in very tight areas, were very, very dangerous, right around the penalty area. And one other thing I noticed is we saw a lot of good runs from Sean Longstaff. A lot of people have been slating him for his previous performances in the Premier League a few weeks ago, but today was a much improved Sean Longstaff. I'm not sure if it was the fact that he's been sitting and was trying to impress Eddie Howe, or the fact that he was playing a League Two side. The opponent level aside, these are the same type of runs that we saw him make last year, and it was a big reason why he stayed in the starting 11 for such a long time. Even in the Champions League, he was making these types of runs. They were dangerous, even behind top defenses from all over Europe. Another defining characteristic of this half was a lot of errant passing. It was hard to watch because it was really sloppy and not the standard that I'm used to seeing from Newcastle United this season. However, we did make 8 changes to the side for this game. A lot of these players, even though they're training together, they're not necessarily in games together, and they don't have the chemistry together that they normally would, like if you're playing week in, week out with the same players. So with people making passes a couple of yards behind each other, another instance where I saw Miggy making a no-look pass to Tino Livramento in the corner. Tino wasn't ready for it, had to rush to try and get to the ball. It's those little things that against a League Two side, they're going to be forgivable because they're not going to do too much damage to us. But if this was a Premier League game, they would absolutely hammer us for it. The biggest play of the half, if not the game, came right towards the end of the first half, where Newcastle played a short corner, played it to Fabian Schär, who endured a challenge and fortunately was able to get the ball off to Miggy Almiron, and Almiron was also clattered into. So you had 2 potential penalty appeals, and fortunately, between the assistant referee and the referee himself, they were able to determine that yes, the foul on Miggy Almiron was indeed a penalty, and it was given. Now, one thing that was very unusual is who took the penalty, and that was Fabian Schär. It's not very often when you see a center back take a penalty kick, not in a shootout, but Schär stepped up to the spot and was cool, calm, and collective and slotted the penalty home as if he was a center forward. Schär is just calm, cool, and collective from the spot, just like he was everywhere else on the pitch all game. There was one scary moment towards the end of the first half, and that was a collision between AFC Wimbledon's center forward and Martin Dubravka. Dubravka was clattered into on a 50-50 ball that later was determined to be offside, and Dubravka just wasn't the same after that. Thankfully, there wasn't a whole lot of time where he had to hobble around and do anything at that time, but it was one of those instances where it didn't make sense for him to carry on. The second half brought on two changes, and one of them was Dubravka. Odysseus Vlachodimos, the new signing from Nottingham Forest, was brought on at halftime, and we saw Bruno come on for Harvey Barnes, who really didn't do a whole lot, and I think he was taken off as a precautionary measure, and I think he'll probably start on Saturday against Everton. Unfortunately, these two changes didn't do a whole lot to spice up our attack at all. We did maintain possession a lot more again in the second half, just like we did in the first half, but it was still very stale. We really couldn't create any opportunities, and we weren't doing a very good job of putting this game away. So Eddie Howe brought on a couple more subs about 15 minutes later. Anthony Gordon came on for Joe Linton and played on the left wing, and Hall came on for Kelly at left back at the same time in about the 62nd minute. Once this happened, we did see a lot more attacks going forward. Anthony Gordon was able to do his thing, make great runs on his side of the ball, get some good crosses in. Unfortunately, we just couldn't put anything away. It just was really frustrating to watch all around. Not only with the some of the errant passing again in the second half because of this unfamiliarity with everybody, but there was just no decisive finish going on. Probably the only good chance that we had in the second half was Joe Willock's, where he was able to rifle a shot off from a Tina Livramento cross. And unfortunately, it smacked a Wimbledon defender right in the face. The rebound fell to Bruno, whose shot was blocked. It was an appeal for handball, but really there wasn't a whole lot into it. Later on in the second half, there was a good run by Asula, who made his first start for Newcastle, and beat several defenders and allow others to get involved in the play. Unfortunately, not a whole lot came of it because people didn't get up into the play fast enough. But the fact that he was able to make the run and show how dangerous he can be gives us some hope for the future. And hopefully we can see more of William Asula going forward. It wasn't all complete domination, though. It was a late surge by Wimbledon deep into the second half, and there were some concerning moments, but the back line held up pretty well. One of the things that really concerned myself and a whole lot of people I was chatting with during the game was the final long throw. They didn't handle it very well, and fortunately, Wimbledon wasn't able to do a whole lot with it. And now let's dive into my ratings for this game. And we'll start right and back at the goalkeeping position. This is a 10 out of 10 that's split between Martin Dubravka and Odysseus Vlachodimos. Both played very well. They didn't have a whole lot to do. They commanded the box very well. They distributed the ball very well. They didn't really have to make any saves because AFC Wimbledon didn't get a shot on goal. So for what they did well. So I have to give them a 10 out of 10. The back line, defenders, I have to give them a 9 out of 10. They did a really good job on the defensive side of the ball when called upon. They conceded 2 shots, although one of them was blocked and one of them was a miss. And really, neither one was a real quality chance. They also did a really good job of keeping possession in the attacking half and really getting the ball back up to the midfield and forwards just to keep the pressure on Wimbledon. And for the midfield, I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. They did win their battles in the center of the park when called upon, and they did a good job of turning the screws on Wimbledon. Their final product was a little bit desired, and I do have to give a special shout out to Sean Longstaff for showing his quality, especially with the link up play between him, Miggy, and Tino. And the runs I mentioned before were what we're used to seeing out of Sean Longstaff and not the sloppiness that we saw earlier on the season. Unfortunately, we saw sloppiness from the forwards this time, so I have to give them a 7 out of 10. Anthony Gordon and Will Osula had some good runs and some decent chances. We didn't see very much else. Barnes had a decent chance in the first half where he nearly missed the top corner, and Miggy had a goal, but it was called back for offside. Good finish, but he was offside by 2 or 3 yards. And in my opinion, I think that this was a game that showed why Miggy Almiron is on the bench over Jacob Murphy. He really didn't offer a whole lot going forward. And I'm not sure if this just wasn't his style of game where you're not playing on the counter and you're not tracking back, but in possession and close quarters, Miggy Almiron just really wasn't offering a whole lot going forward. There was one instance where he tried to make a run across the top of the penalty area. I thought for sure he was going to rifle one with his left foot, but he seemed almost hesitant to pull the trigger. It's these types of instances where if you've been on the bench for such a long time, you got to make your chances count. You had one chance and it was called back for offside, but you didn't really take any other chances. So this is just another instance where we're going to see Miggy Almiron on the bench unless something drastic happens to Murphy or Gordon or Asula or Barnes. He's just going to be sitting on the bench for the time being. Set pieces, I have to give a 9.5 out of 10. This would have been a 10 out of 10, except for that final long throw that was kind of flubbed a little bit and gave a lot of people a scare. I was really worried about this one. And like I mentioned before, a lot of people in my group chats were really worried that it would have been just fitting for AFC Wimbledon to score a last minute goal at the death of injury time off of a long throw in to force penalty kicks. Fortunately, that was not the case. And the lone goal of the game came off of a set piece because the penalty was drawn off of a short corner played between Cher and played by, I believe, Livermento took the corner, passed it to Cher, who was clattered into, got the ball to Miggy, who was also clattered into, and then the penalty was called. So and there really isn't a whole much else they can do other than create chances, and that's what they did. And other than that one chance, they did a great job of defending set pieces as well. And when you tally everything up, this is an 8.7 out of 10. This game was very, very dull to watch, sucking the energy and atmosphere out of St. James Park. And despite the fact that it had on the crowd and its sloppiness at times, it was a dominating performance that earned us a shot to beat Chelsea home and home twice in a week. And now I have to talk about my man of the match. And that goes to Fabian Cher. Cher did a great job commanding that back line, wearing the armband for this match. He was cool under fire when there was any sort of pressure in the back. He was great at getting forward and offering a lot of threats in the attacking third. And ultimately, it was him who scored the lone goal of the game. So for those reasons, who else can we give the man of the match to but Fabian Cher? This wasn't exactly a flawless victory, though. We did have some potential injury casualties. I've mentioned them a little bit throughout this review of this game. And the first one is going to be Martin Dubravka. There was a challenge late in the first half where he was clattered into. He was in a lot of pain until the first half whistle, where he was replaced by Vlachodimos for the second half. Fabian Cher the second half also appeared to twist his ankle at some point. He was able to play injured, but we'll see if this was a long-term deal or if it's something where he'll be able to get treatment and bounce back for Saturday. And also late in the second half, Anthony Gordon was in a heap after a challenge in the attacking third. And the only reason he got up is because, one, the whistle didn't blow, and two, Willock was streaking down the left-hand side, and if he doesn't get up, then he becomes an obstacle for the attack rather than doing anything to help. And that will do it for this edition of the Newcastle United Digest. Later this week, I'll discuss the biggest stories surrounding the team, and I'll also preview Saturday's match at Everton. If you're not yet a subscriber and have made it this far, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel to check out more videos we have done for previous matches. And make sure you hit the bell icon to be alerted when future videos are released. Once again, my name is Adam Snyder, and until next time, away the lads. Bye for now.